Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, That Model Railway Guy, and welcome to another live Steam special. I know how much you guys enjoy these videos, and I've had a great time getting to share my live Steam Mamod with you. In the first video I made, I showed you that steamed up and running around a circular track, and in the most recent video I did, I then took the body off and had it running on the rolling road so you guys could see how it all works on the inside. Both of those videos have been incredibly popular, so thank you so much to everybody who has watched those. And if you haven't seen them already, well, there's a little link at the top of the screen now. You can click that and check those out. Today though, I want to go bigger, quite literally, because in today's video I'm going to be attempting to steam up a live steam locomotive intended for a garden railway. So as you've just seen, this is the loco in question, and it's essentially a very basic 60mm scale live steam locomotive made by Mamod/MSS. I believe what originally happened is Mamod designed and made these engines, and then at some point along the way MSS also started making them as well. Mine is an MSS one, but internally I believe they're exactly the same engine. Mine is also gauged for 45mm track. You can also get them gauged for 32mm track, which I think is about the same as O gauge. I might not be entirely correct on that. I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments. But yeah, because I have G scale track, which runs with all my LGB locos, then I've got one that runs on 45mm track. Normally what I do in these videos is I just steam the loco up, I show you me doing that, and then we enjoy it running round. That's not going to be so easy in this case though, because when I tried to steam it up, this happened. Yeah, not amazing, is it? To be fair, it did move, just not very far. The good news though is that the boiler did build up to pressure. There were no leaks as far as I could see. The boiler didn't explode, which is always a good thing. So yeah, the boiler has pressure, the loco has pressure, it's just not got enough power to actually move itself. But I think I can solve that with just a few simple things. The first being that this loco has sat in a box for several years, and so naturally it's seized up. So I think the first thing to do will just be to oil all the pistons and the cylinders and all the moving parts around the wheels and get everything moving nice and freely so that it's not fighting against a sticky mechanism or a mechanism that's unwilling to move. The power that it does have can actually be used effectively. On the subject of power, the second thing I'm going to do is to flush out the entire boiler. Now you're really only supposed to use distilled water with live steam engines, and that's because of the impurities that you can get in tap water, and especially over time little deposits can build up inside the boiler and the pipes that lead to the pistons and the cylinders and everything, and so that's not ideal and it reduces the amount of power that the loco has. I have a feeling that this loco has been run on tap water at some point, and so I'm hoping that by flushing the entire system out, it'll get rid of all the muck and the gunk that's built up over the years inside there. And so that'll hopefully give it much more power, which combined with a much more free-running mechanism, hopefully it'll mean the train will move a little bit more. I don't know how much of an improvement it's going to make, but I'm really excited to find out, so let's get to it, shall we? So, like I said, the main thing I wanted to do was to clean out the loco's boiler to get rid of all the deposits that have built up over the years. First, I removed the safety valve. This is usually where you fill the boiler with water, but I'm not going to be doing that just yet. Instead, you can see I have a bottle of white vinegar, which is often used for cleaning and descaling. I've seen this technique recommended countless times by other Mamod and MSS owners, and though it sounds quite simple, it apparently makes a huge difference. So now you can see I'm adding the white vinegar to the boiler, and hopefully the acid will start to dislodge all of the crud inside. And then just for good measure, I gave it a bit of a shake too, just to make sure the vinegar was swirled all around the whole boiler. Now, I don't want the vinegar to be in there for too long, otherwise the acid will start to eat away at the boiler itself. So to get it out, I simply turned the loco upside down with the funnel positioned over a bowl. Then when I was ready, I started turning the wheels by hand, and this caused all the vinegar to get pushed through the system and out through the funnel. It was a bit slow going at first, and initially I was a bit worried that it wasn't working, but eventually it did start coming out. With the boiler hopefully now less filthy than it was before, it was time to give everything a good oil. I started by adding a small amount of steam oil to the cylinders and pistons, just using the end of a syringe to spread it around. And I also added a lighter oil to the coupling rods and wheels just to make sure there was as little friction as possible. I didn't want to go too overboard with oiling here, but I did want to make sure that the pistons were moving nice and freely. Certainly after doing all this, the wheels and pistons seem to move much more freely when moved by hand. Finally, I decided to give the dome a quick clean. Obviously, this won't affect the running at all, but since I'm filming this, I wanted the loco to look good. With the dome removed from the body, I washed off all the black dirt that had built up from previous steamings. And eventually it was looking a bit more shiny again, at which point I screwed it back onto the loco. And with that, my mini overhaul was complete. The next thing to do was to take the loco outside and steam it up on blocks so I could see if there was any major problems that needed addressing. As I said earlier, when it comes to large-scale live steam, these Mamod and MSS locos are incredibly simple, and it doesn't take much to get them steamed up. First, I removed the safety valve from the boiler and filled it up with distilled water using a syringe. It's a little bit hard to see on camera, but in the cab there's actually a sight glass too, so you can see the water level inside the boiler and make sure it's not above the maximum level. Normally at this point I would give the loco a quick oil before running, but considering I just did that inside, I don't think I need to bother this time. So instead I'll skip ahead to adding the fuel. With the back of the cab removed, I can then take out the burner tray. These Mamod and MSS locos use solid fuel tablets to heat up the water. One tablet broken in half sits quite nicely inside the tray and is usually enough to heat the loco. However, I've always found it really tricky to light these fuel tablets. Even if you do manage to get them lit, the slightest gust of wind is enough to blow them out. So, a little trick I've come up with is to add a tiny amount of barbecue firelighters between the tablets. I then use the match to light the firelighters instead, which burn very easily, and this gives me enough time to get the burner tray back into the loco. Once the tray is inside the loco, it's protected from the wind, and the fuel tablets then light fairly easily. And then it's just a case of being patient and waiting for the loco to build up enough pressure. Essentially, the burner tray holds the fuel just beneath the boiler, causing the water to heat up and eventually turn to steam. And on the front of the loco, you can see this lever that acts as both a reverser for setting the direction and a regulator for controlling the speed. So after a bit of time has passed, you can see we now have a bit of steam escaping from under the safety valve, so I think it's time to see if the loco will run. We can check we've got enough pressure too by testing the whistle. And yeah, that seems nice and strong, so I think we're ready. And there we go! It was a bit sticky to start, but it's now running really nicely. And I've just tried in reverse too, and as you can see there are no problems there either. So the loco is running in quite nicely, and honestly this bodes really well for when we try this on the track later on. Do remember though that with the wheels suspended like this, the loco isn't having to work very hard. This isn't really a true test of its performance, but it's good to know that it all still works and it seems to be running smoothly. And there's also a nice amount of steam coming from the funnel too. So I think we can confirm that the loco still works. It should be nicely run in by now, and I also have a bit more of an idea of how to control it too. So that was quite a success as far as I'm concerned. We can see that the Loco definitely has enough power now to move its own wheels continuously, although that was while they were suspended, so when it's down on the track, it'll take a bit more power just to be able to propel itself along. But I'm interested to see if all the stuff I've done to this has made any improvements. So yeah, I'm not going to run this on the Garden Railway straight away, just because there's a few difficult gradients on that. So I'm going to run this on a test circle initially, but hopefully if all goes well today, then in the future we can run it on the Garden Railway sometime soon, maybe even with a few carriages behind. For now though, let's see how much this has improved. I'm really excited to find out, so yeah, let's go have a look. Once again, I need to prepare the Loco before running it, so it's time for some more refueling. With the Loco steaming up, here's the circuit of track I'll be testing it on. It's not much, but it should be enough to give me an idea of how it's performing, and it means I can keep it easily in reach too. So, finally the moment of truth. Does this live steam Loco have enough power to move itself? And success! Wow, I mean, look at it go! I'm not sure what I was expecting, but it certainly looks like all the maintenance I did really made a difference. Remember at the beginning of the video where it would barely move a few feet? Well, you would hardly believe it was the same Loco now. And just to prove it is a nice consistent runner, here's a long unedited shot so you can see it going around the circuit multiple times under its own steam. Of course, things didn't always go exactly to plan. Yeah, still not entirely sure what happened there. I think part of the fuel tablet fell out of the Loco and managed to completely melt one of the sleepers. Thankfully everything is fine, well, apart from the sleeper, and there's a bit of a scorch mark on the decking, but aside from that, everything is fine. I did also find that the Loco had a tendency to derail on the corners, and I think this is because it's very front heavy, so what I did to rectify this was added some weight into the cab, and that seemed to make it much more stable. At first I only added a small amount of weight because I didn't want to make the Loco too heavy, but as you can see, yeah, that didn't quite do the job. So instead what I did is I added a much larger, heavier weight, and that seemed to sort it out. But for the most part, you can see it ran really well. Like with the Hornby Live Steam Mallard, it does take a bit of time to figure out how to drive the Loco in order to keep it happy.
Hopefully though, the next step will be to get this on the proper garden railway, maybe even with a couple of coaches, and see if it'll be able to run on that. I'm sure that'll come with its own complications, especially the gradients, but do let me know down in the comments if that is something you'd like to see. Anyway, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notifications when new videos are released. But for now, that's all guys, so thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!